Hello again. I'm back with another stream. The whole idea here is to encapsulate the lives of people who are passionate about music in whatever way that may be. Friends, other producers, other musicians. I want to include other people. I think it's going to be something that I'll want to include in the content in general, even if it's just simple conversations about like what kind of music me and another person like, just interesting takes they might have on certain genres, anything like that. And if you are viewing this and feel like you might be wanting to sit down with me virtually, have a conversation about music, maybe give me your backstory and be a part of the community I'm trying to build here, just people who love music and have a passion for it, you're definitely welcome to. Just message me. We can get you in here and get to know you a little better. But yeah, let's start checking around and seeing if I can get someone in here. I should be able to. Let me message this gentleman. How's it going? Thanks for joining. If you're in here, welcome. This could be the start of something pretty cool. I let him know just to hop in whenever he's ready. Yeah, and it's really gonna be pretty casual, nothing specific yet. I assume most of the time it's gonna be on the level of like a podcasting type of thing.
What are we working on?
Here, test the mic.
Okay, test.
All right, very cool.
Yo.
What do you want to introduce yourself for the viewers?
What's up? This is Dallas D-Town. What's up, babies? What's up, ladies?
This is my homie. I make music with. We've made a lot of music together, actually. There's a couple things that I had in mind for having you on here. First thing that comes to mind is like if you wanted to talk a little bit about your experience with music, what got you into it, and like kind of where you're at with music. What got you into music, man?
Man, what got me into it? Shoot, I don't know. My family's not really musically inclined and stuff, and I really like rebelling against what was normal for everybody, where I was like brought up and coming from, because it was a really small town. Nobody had good taste in music and shit. Everybody listened to just country Christian music. A lot of people, like when I got into like bigger cities and stuff, it was just like rap and stuff, and that's what my brothers were into. So I was like, fuck all this. I want something that is more like expressionism, you know what I mean? Like something I can express myself with. So I got a lot more like alternative friends kind of and stuff. A lot of people that were like into punk rock or like metalcore. I just didn't want to be like everybody else that I was raised around. I wanted to be my own person, and I could express it through music. So I started singing when I was like 16, 17, whatever. My buddy Jordan actually like let me try out for their band. I mean, we totally fucking didn't really even make it anywhere with it, but I mean, that's what I wanted to do, was be a singer. So like 16, 17, was like, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna join this metal band, and whatever eventually turns into a punk band, and then turns to a hardcore, turns into not going anywhere. So like do my solo stuff, but hearing good music from just friends at a really young age, that were just not really popular or anything like that. Like we were just social outcasts, where I'm from. Like
Yeah.
grew up with you kind of pretty much.
No, yeah, it's a part of this is going to be that I want to be able to share other musicians' backgrounds or what everyone's background is and why they got passionate about music, what makes them passionate about music. For the viewers, I've known Dallas for several years, since freshman year of high school. So we've been making music and like hanging out since very, very long time. He graduated in 2013, right?
Oh yeah, in 13. Man, like you were there for like when I first started playing guitar. Really, those first couple bands I was in didn't go anywhere. I mean, I have issues with my own problems or whatever, but reasons why I can't just keep it together, and taught me how to play guitar. Shit, we're playing in parking lots in a Guitar Center like Brahms, and people come up with like their phones and stuff, put it on Twitter, put it on their Tumblr.
No, that's cool though, man. If you don't want to answer this, actually, you don't have to. But what was the first time you felt like you lost yourself in music?
Ooh,
You
oh
know what I'm
man.
saying?
We started playing parties, at least with our like friend group, kind of. Just everybody come to the house and beer bash and like just have a little party and shit, and then pull out that guitar and started playing like our favorite songs. And I remember there was that one point when I just asked somebody like, just give me something, and I'll play like three chords, I'll make it a fucking song. Like it doesn't matter. Like that was when I really got lost with it, just engulfed with it, because it was every day, like hours and hours, just like singing and playing and stuff. And then when I finally had like a couple amps or whatever, and we could actually start like jamming out through like the garage, somebody like donated me a drum set and a bass guitar, and I had some
Yeah,
other
that
stuff
was
and some
cool.
mics.
I remember that. That
Uh,
was sweet.
yeah, dude,
Yeah,
that was a nice drum set. I can't believe we took it back, dude. My first bass guitar, that Fender Jazz. This is a 1980 Fender Jazz bass. Loved it.
that's a really good answer. I probably definitely around that time was whenever I was like, okay, I can literally lose myself to music consistently, like every single day if I want to. That's whenever I was like, man, performing is just like it's just so good. Like anytime I've ever just lost myself to music in front of people, it's just been like a insane experience, you know.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's definitely probably one of my same answers. Probably told you the story like whenever I went to, I think it was like Iowa with this dude who was supposed to be like mentoring me because I was stepping out of line with my parents. We went to this guy's house. There was like a circle of people playing the blues on guitar, and they had tons of guitars. Somebody was like, "Here, man, you know how to play?" And I was like, "I haven't since I was like 13." At the time, I was like 17, so it had been 4 years since I'd played the guitar. Even picked it up, looked at the dude's fingers, followed along, and then before I knew it, I was like, "Man, the blues is like was the first genre that made me lose myself to music while I was playing music."
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's just
it's
all
just so
passion. It's the
soulful.
blues getting all of that soul out, man. It's like so much passion in it. You had taught me and stuff, even playing guitar. Even if I really wasn't any good at it, I mean, I was trying to do like a pentatonic scale, and we were playing with Johnny Cash.
And it's those moments that I feel like, you know, whenever I talk to people sometimes about music, that I feel like they can hear that I've touched that. Everyone is very capable of doing so, you know. I feel like everybody can be musical or express themselves in an art form of some sense, you know. I feel like that's always possible. There's a side of music not everyone has seen. I don't think every single person has lost themselves to music in that way. It might even be kind of rare for them to like be playing a song, not feel like anything else exists, that type of thing. Like I feel like that's kind of a rare occurrence in people's lives. I don't know if this happens to everyone. This definitely has happened to me a ton of times. Have you ever been listening to music and it's really, really good and you're like, how do they make this? Do you remember any artist that you were like, how did they even accomplish making this song? This is like a magical thing. How did they do this?
EDM and stuff. Like my freshman year, my best friend, we had 6 or 7 classes. Pretty much was with this dude all day long. You know him. But like listening to German house music, techno bands from Europe, like how the fuck do they do that? I was just really breaking out into punk and stuff. My inspirations were like Lane Staley and Kurt Cobain. And everyone's like, oh, dude, you look just like him and stuff. I'm like, dude, thank you. And I had a guy actually do that to me in a bar. I had my hair slicked back, sitting by myself. I just did an open mic. I think I closed out with Nutshell. Only songs that I could really do by myself because it was one of their only real like acoustic sets. The guy just comes in, he's like, man, you look just, this is literally like he was right in the room with us.
Dude, I love
It's like,
those kinds of compliments.
yeah, until it
You,
started
you,
getting
ca-
weird,
you
that guy started stroking my head and stuff. And I was like, what the hell?
oh,
Okay, you're just trying to hit on me. $20 is $20, right? DJ Farrock, he had this, the theme song for Halloween. Oh my gosh, we used to just get blitzed and like listen to techno all the time. And that's really what got me like, I was like, how do they do this? You just hear those like synths and stuff. I don't know anything about computers and stuff. Like you put a hammer in my hands, I'm like, yeah, I can hit that. A computer, I'm like, I mean, you're talking like weird science to me. Do
dude,
ecstasy and fucking do jump style.
I'm
Or like
curious.
well, jump step or something. I can't remember. But I mean, he got me into all the EDM music and stuff. Anything techno, dubstep. Like we were doing some dubstep, and that kind of brought me into rap and stuff. Because he also showed me like stuff like Bloodhound Gang and other crap where you could just be like silly, ridiculous, and like you didn't have to be serious with anything. So I was like, dude, I'm like a white rapper from Oklahoma. Is that not going to be like the funniest thing if I just say like the most ridiculous? Trying to be like Eminem, was just trying to have fun. Like didn't really care what anybody's just thought it wasn't even about being an image or anything. It was just a character. It was really just to
Yeah.
make my friend laugh.
Because I've been like looking for genres to just like try making.
We'd like throw like mini raves, listen to German techno in the hallways, and teachers would be like, get their class. They used to do those little black light dances.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It was the
Uh,
high school rave scene,
yeah.
dude. So underground. It was like basically run by the teachers. I'm so surprised that they even attempted something like that.
Could you believe like the music we used to listen to? I remember we were like in 7th grade and shit, and people were playing like pop lock and drop it like Akon and shit. Like we're all just like doing grind trains. This is like chaperoned by like 6 of our parents and principals here. Like
Yeah. Let's talk about like actual artists because I'm actually curious. What are some artists like that first come to mind you just want to talk about?
Keith Morris, that was one of the guys that just really got me into just Black Flag, Agent Orange, Circle Jerks. That was that West Coast hardcore. Like helped me direct my aggression with lyrics and stuff. Just not give a fuck attitude. I don't know. I actually talked about something. You know what I mean? Just pop punk and crap. I was like, man, I just can't deal with that kind of stuff. I don't want to be sad right now. I just want to be in your face. My earlier inspirations from that was like Cobain and Staley, the 3 biggest inspirations for me with music.
You're kind of into grunge. Have you ever listened to Failure?
I probably have. I just don't remember.
They make a song called The Nurse Who Loved Me that I like grew up with that I didn't find until like very, very recently. And every single time that happens to me where it's like decades since I've heard a song, it brings me right back to the moment I was like listening to it whenever I was like a kid in the car or whatever. And one time that happened to me, and it was like I listened to that song for like weeks straight and played on like a loop, and eventually I'd start crying just because I'm like, man, I remember being so innocent and not knowing anything, nothing was going on, and it brought me back to like my purest moments in life. Do you have any songs like that?
California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas, dude. Or
Ooh,
like
good one.
that song followed me since I was like, I can't even remember 3 years old, and so that song was always hitting me somewhere. A lot of the lower times in my life, that song just kept coming back. Like it would play in like a movie, or it'd be like on the radio, or like it's going over the speakers in this mall that I'm walking through, or it's playing in somebody's car. I'm like, why does this song just follow me around? Maybe like Main Street by Bob Seger.
Bob
That was
Seger.
another one. Music just has like such an attachment to like there's really unless you're just showing me something completely new that I haven't heard of, there's really no songs that I listen to don't always play in my head where it's not like associated with somebody, a time, a place. It's bookmarks like a part of my life. I was like, man, I remember when I first heard that song. And then
Yeah,
I remember when I heard that song again when my girl broke up with me and
that's a really good way to put it, where it's like kind of a bookmark. I've definitely had times in my life where I'll listen to a song at like a very low point, very high point, whatever, and I'm able to just like zoom back to that point. And I feel like, that's like kind of universal. A lot of people, that's how that was for them and stuff. I haven't really given Alice in Chain a proper chance. I do like grunge a lot though.
I talked so much shit on Kurt Cobain before, like I had a girlfriend who was like, "Oh no, he's really it's really good. Like listen to this song and like listen to this," and so I was like, "Oh, he's got like that's actually pretty good," and the shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like I've given Nirvana a very, very solid chance. I've kind of listened to them my whole life. Personally, this is probably the wrong thing to say, but I'm not a Nirvana fan. I really, really like their songs themselves as a whole. I just don't like listening to them playing it, if that makes sense. Like I know that's such a messed up thing to say, but they were really, really good songwriters. So anytime I hear a cover of a Nirvana song, I really, really appreciate it because I feel like the songs they made were like not meant for them to play themselves. And that's a very controversial thing to say, but I'll give Alice in Chains a chance because I do like grunge. And I know they were super, super influential. Like, man, the grunge era, they were just crazy. I've given, a couple of their songs a chance. I definitely don't think they're bad. I've also never given Black Flag a chance.
Oh, early Black Flag. Like I'll still play it on my. I did it today. Like, hey, I'll pick up my guitar and start playing "Nervous Breakdown." Was so wasted and stuff, or like something I can remember from like the Dead Kennedys and stuff. That era of, I don't know, to me it's the stamp of like when hardcore started. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. What do you think about the Pistols?
I love the Sex Pistols.
I was just wondering because the way you're talking about these people, sometimes occasionally I'll get into just looking up the lead singer of so and so band. They're just characters, man. Some of them are forces of nature. They're type people. They're just like on a different level. Lead singer of the Sex Pistols, he's just an interesting ass guy. He was like aggressive almost to interviewers and stuff, but also very smart. Everything he says makes sense, but also not at the same time. Like
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like, man, especially for someone back then to have that kind of attitude was like, it's just interesting to me because it's like, how did he get that way? Like, I don't think they started punk. I think they were like, I don't know if the Ramones did or who the hell did, but somebody
That was
did.
like
And
that big thing. It's like, who started punk rock? Was it the Sex Pistols in the UK subs, or was it the Ramones in Washington? Or
the two faces are all that really matters. That it was like one of
and
them,
then
and they were both like the faces of punk at the time, or whatever. And
I still like, in my opinion, Iggy Pop being the godfather of punk. Like
okay, yeah,
that was just that scene.
just like if we went back and were able to just like be around them, it'd be just such a spectacle to even just be near them and like see them do what they're doing as like kids basically, and not knowing that they're forever changing music. Man, that's such an interesting thing to me.
Interviews like Joey Ramone did with Howard Stern and stuff, and there he's like, yeah, do you guys ever think like you could get like really big? He's like, no, I just want to huff some glue.
You know, and it's still currently happening. There's still people changing music all the time, don't know it, and they're just like regular ass people like us, you know. I just think that's super cool. You know, punk just has influenced so much. You know, it's influenced so much good music genres and just people. I'm going to share my screen. Let's find out a little bit about Keith Morris because I'm actually curious.
Just listen to Keith, man. That dude is classic. I love that guy.
This is the Blaring Out with Eric Blair show, and today I'm pleased to have lead vocalist of Black Flag, the Circle Jerks, and now the band Off, Keith Morris.
Hello. For too long, it's history.
Oh yeah.
It's vile. It's not achieving anything. It's just digression. They play rock and roll at airports. It's about as like.
Dude, that is such like. Can you even imagine that being like a thing you even notice? Where you're like at an airport and you're like, they're playing rock right now. I think about that whenever I hear like harsh vocals on the radio. I was like, man, they're putting this stuff on the radio now. Like this is turning so mainstream. I remember it kind of being a bummer. So, but this dude's like talking about that exact same thing, but with like rock music in general. That's just so crazy. That would have been so depressing for that to be realizing, oh man, rock is going like full mainstream and punk is becoming mainstream and like every underground genre is becoming mainstream, and man, that would be really depressing. I will say he definitely pushed that along though. Definitely like helped.
Limited.
But there was a time when you didn't feel that
It is
way.
too much like a structure, a church.
John Mulaney's, I don't know if you've ever seen his stand-up, but
Oh yeah.
his thing he says about Mick Jagger, he gives the example, Mick Jagger literally was able to snap his fingers and say Coke, and somebody would bring him a Coke, and like that would change pretty much anyone. Keith Morris, he's clearly made his mark on the world and especially in music. Just I love to see, you know, people who just seem very like down to earth, very chill, even though they've done some crazy stuff.
Oh yeah. Like just big Super Bowl like arena like types and stuff. They like play like for hundreds of thousands of people and stuff.
Yeah.
Something like equivalent to
That
Elvis
would
and stuff.
change
Where you
you,
could just
man.
run around and shoot TVs in your hotel room, and everyone's like, "No, we're not calling the cops. It's just him."
Yeah, that would change you, man. Like, you would not
Oh
be the
yeah, like
same
Nikki
person.
Sixx and Motley Crue and stuff. Those guys like having count like just endless money in anything that you ever wanted and stuff. They just give everything to these people, and they can just throw like that's when you're throwing TVs and shit through like your hotel room window. Like you or me tried to do that kind of shit. They're like, dude, you're going to
Yeah,
prison.
they become, you know, higher life forms almost in their brains, and like people see them as such sometimes, and it's like, you know, you would just be a different person, man. Like power kind of corrupts in that scenario, but a lot of the time, not all the time. I feel like there's a lot of actors, musicians, whatever, people that are just celebrities in general, done a lot and accomplished a lot and could act like that but don't, and I think that's crazy to me whenever I don't see that happen. People that try to act so hard in alternative music, like Danzig, he got beat up by a bouncer once for just like getting in his face and like trying him, and it's like, man, you don't usually you hire bouncers to be like, for one, they're big and bulky, and for two, they can like defend themselves if they need to or whatever. That dude tried to like fight a bouncer, probably
Well, I
that
mean,
he hired. Dude, to me that's just like, all right, man, something got to your head a little bit to make you want to do that. I think what I'm gonna do is kind of move into the DAW.
no, let's make
We
some
can keep
music.
talking and stuff. Like, that sounds cool. I feel like, especially because I've known you for so long, it's like natural for me to go into a state of like inspiration.
Oh my god! If I could say anything else, well, you're the person I call every time. I'm like, dude, I have an idea for this ridiculous song.
Yeah, you know, I don't expect to come out with anything crazy, but I kind of want to try making some tunes. I know you've seen me do all this stuff, but I have never explained it to you or anything like that. But you know how this works, the timeline itself. I just put tracks over here, put instruments, whatever, recordings go this way, and like tracks themselves, which are just like the instruments themselves or the recordings, start over here and are over here, categorized over here. And you know, I set the tempo over here, metronome over here, all that stuff. Just, if you have any questions of what I just did, I've been trying to make a point to stop and explain stuff, because even if it's something I've done 100 times and I feel like it's like easy, like everyone should know this, it's not. And I will never think that anyway, because I feel like majority of the population that's never even seen this specific digital audio workstation, they've never even tried like producing, so everything needs to be explained to someone. You know, someone needs to know about it. So even if it's something like simple like that, just stop me and be like, hey, what are you doing there, or you know, whatever. I'll try to just do that naturally. But yeah, man, this is the
Yeah, give me
browser.
the intimate details.
I'll give you the intimate details. This is the browser. This is where all the virtual instruments are. They also call them VSTs.
What's VST mean?
Virtual Studio. Ooh, what does the T stand for? Technology.
Holy hell!
Yeah, these are just emulators. An emulator is like a computer version of something. This is just an emulation of a synthesizer. Like, I just put it in here, and now I got a synthesizer, and I'll put like a drum instance on here. Drag and drop from the browser onto the timeline over here. Double click the timeline anywhere, and it makes this box. This box, it's just a sequencer. A sequencer is just like where you put the notes.
Makes
I'm
sense.
telling the drums what to play and when to play them. So over
Okay.
here, I got a kick, I got a snare. So now I just double click to draw in the notes. Oh, also, you know what 4 to the floor means?
I don't know. I'm not in a pickup truck right now.
I've never ever used this view before. So this is gonna be, I'm trying it though, dude. I think this could work.
So wait, are you doing this on a? Okay, I see what you got.
So now I got 4 to the floor, meaning like every
4/4. Yeah.
quarter note or every quarter of a measure there's a note on it. There's a kick specifically.
Yeah, I
And then
never
now
heard
I can
4 to
do
the floor. I always just heard 4/4 timing.
the signature, I want to say, is 4/4.
Yeah. Time signature.
Oh, I messed up there. See, this is what I'm saying, man. This is a weird view. Like, you've seen how I usually do this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Weird, man. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this.
But you can go all over with that. That's like composing right there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to compose, bro. What do you think I am?
Like,
No, that's
right
actually.
now.
I'm gonna write that down. What instrument did you play?
Trumpet.
What happened to
Yeah,
your
I play
trumpet?
trumpet.
I've never seen you play.
I was actually in a ska band. Was actually the first band I was in was a ska band. I played trumpet, and we actually did that Real Big Fish cover of "Take Me On." I still have it. Like I haven't played it in years, but I could bring it back out. Shit.
Yeah, man, do it for sure. That'd be sick. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'm just putting in noise is what you hear when you're listening to like a dance track. Yeah, and you hear that in a dance track. These are called risers. There's probably an actual music term for it, but
Yeah, like a crescendo is like when you're like coming out from nothing and building up into something, and then I think decrescendo is reverse to that, like starting out loud and tailing off, like fading out.
yeah, then that's what it would be. So yeah, and it's just a way of transitioning. So when you hear it and you're listening to the music, you're like, oh, okay, this is the start of a new section, or this is the end of a section, or like you'll be prepared for the new section to start. I usually don't use these. I usually just use crashes and stuff, and that like gets me by. But I've been trying to make a point to put in another term they call it is sweeps, because it goes whoosh. It's just a transitioning tool. So 2 bars over here.
Oh, very Pink Floydy.
Is it? I don't listen to Pink Floyd. I'm not gonna lie.
What? Pink Floyd was one of those bands too.
Interesting.
Shit.
I've never given them a proper chance, and like I get that a lot of people really like them. I'm probably super jaded about that, but you know what? I'll give them a chance. I'll put them down.
Oh yeah, dude. We'll eat a bag of mushrooms and then like watch The Wall. Goodness, yeah, you gotta watch the movie The Wall, but you gotta watch it with me.
Yeah, we can do that.
That was a great movie. It was basically that whole The Wall. They made the album, man. Dark Side of the Moon is a great movie.
Also, I'm just putting in fills without really even like paying attention to what I'm doing, just like finish tracks. I see a lot of people doing that, and I kind of want to start being able to do that. So this could sound terrible. I have no idea.
Nah, the best things are thrown together. ZZ Top, man.
ZZ Top.
I can't even remember like how Desi like described it and stuff. He plays this blues thing. He's like, all we were playing was just shuffling something or whatever. He's like, we start playing and all of a sudden we have something going on, man. Those are some of the best songs we wrote.
Dude, like whenever I'm not really caring about like how things turn out. Oh yeah, the dude that I started making music with originally, his name's Caleb. He's probably gonna be not the next, but like one of the people that I talked to and stuff. But yeah, that was one of the things he like. We were on the phone when I was like telling him about the channel I'm starting, and he was talking to me about outlooks he has on music, and that was one of them where he's like, a lot of the time, man, the more you care about the outcome, the worse things turn out. So it's like better to just not care about the outcome and just like let things happen the way they happen. And I think that's definitely 100% true.
A lot of those like really great songs and stuff were like made with guys just jamming, like feeling it. That was my big attachment in getting into music, playing with other people and stuff, man. Like it was my substitute for family and stuff too, in a way. I didn't have a lot of great connections, but I mean, we all get in there and play like with you. You're one of those people that I've always played with or like came up with. You're just comfortable and stuff to like make some of my favorite jams with, man.
Hell yeah, man. I feel that. For sure.
Going through like all the people I've seen in interviews and stuff, they're like trying to catch lightning in a jar. Like some of the stuff that they would play is like, man, we just left the mic on in the recording studio and we just kept playing and found something or something. It's like all the great things that we played didn't even make it on a recording.
I know how that feels though, like where it's like the first take and that's where the magic is. And if you don't capture that first take or whatever, or something goes on with that first take, or like there's like stuff in the background, it's just like, man, like we're never getting that back. This is the Tunescape Beats exclusive serum scan. Check it out. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and then I'll put an LFO. An LFO is basically a automatic volume turner downer, is like,
So
for
it's like
lack
a
of better
compressor?
words. So yeah, okay. If
Or
you
a
know what a
condenser?
compressor is, no, you're like right on the right track. Compressor turns the volume down when it reaches a threshold. With an LFO, you set it and forget it. It's going to turn the volume down that much every single time, depending on the rate. Like this is set to quarter notes, so this should go off every time the kick goes off. It'll be a lot more obvious whenever I show you really quick. But yeah, so like we'll start off with just this. See, it sounds the exact same. Now I go,
Wow.
yeah, that's the difference. It's a pretty big
Okay.
difference.
So it's like the kid with the volume knob in the car that's just like,
This
dude,
is,
listen to like
yeah, exactly.
with the
This is the
EQ.
kid. Yeah, this is like literally the kid messing with the volume knob. Anything that goes on top of a VST, it's called a plugin or an effect.
Right.
So that's what we're working on right now. It's an LFO plugin. I think like what else I can tell you. Is there anything that you see off the rip that you're like, what is that? Or did you hear anything that you're like, what is that?
I'm not the person to talk tech to.
No, I think you also kind of just know what's going on somehow. Like you've been around me messing with Studio One a
In
lot.
this
So,
format, yeah. Like
you know.
seeing it, like I recognize it, like, what you have it set in A minor is like everything, or
Yeah, the key is in A minor right now. Basically, this is a chords track. Yeah, I don't use this very much, but I really want to start using it because it's a really cool tool. Like, let me show you what this actually does. You can make your instruments follow whatever scale key you want it to be in. I need to like learn my DAW better.
it's okay. It's a learning experience for both of us.
Just like I don't know if this would actually follow along with me, but
Do you like have to reduplicate it though? Like if you're changing like your key, or does it just automatically turn all of that to G?
that's what I
G
thought it
flat
did, but
minor?
it's not working like that. I don't get it, bro. What is the variation? What was all that? Hold on. What is this? I've never seen this screen. Who am I right now? I actually don't know what all this is. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, I've been using Studio One since like 2016, 2017 even. There are so many things I still don't know at all about. Do you have any requests? Like any songs you'd like me to start on? You
I
know
don't
what I'm
know. Like,
saying?
what have you been working with besides the other stuff that like we've done?
I've been doing funk kind of a lot. Like
Okay.
I could probably whip out a funk beat.
You know, I always love whatever you put on. So if we're working on something that you want, like that we could work on, heck yeah, I'm down with it. Flea or somebody playing the bass in my brain.
No, like PHONK. You know what funk music is?
Oh, not funk like with an F.
No, yeah, funk with a P. Oh.
Taking the F out of funk? What the fuck?
I thought you knew what funk was. Like the 808 cowbell and then like a dance beat. Actually, there's a lot of variations of funk now. Like people make tons of different kinds of funk.
Like it definitely reminds me of like German techno and like some dubstep and then like whatever's going on. Like
It's got the aesthetic of Memphis rap mixed with like drift culture, like where people get like souped up really nice Hondas, put neon under it, cute e-girl
oh, it's Tokyo drift
girlfriends.
culture.
Exactly. It's literally Tokyo drift culture. No. You know what I'm saying?
The heck is that?
It's a little funk thing.
I do my capella.
This is another reason why like it's best not to just take a kick and put the actual audio on the timeline and then make your percussion around that. You can technically control choke in that view. It's just like needlessly harder. It's literally needlessly harder. But yeah, basically anytime this plays with this, you know how this is like a really long open hat sample.
Right.
So if this plays, it gets canceled out by this now. That's what
Right.
choke is. It'd normally be like this length, but now I can make it super short.
It just gives you more control, right?
Yeah, it gives you more control, and a lot of the times, especially with hats, if you have an open hat in the equation, they'll start like messing with each other because they're the same like
Tone.
exactly. They're the same tone. They're in the same EQ as each other, so if they get put together, it can sound like overbearing sometimes.
It's like, yeah, right. They like blend on each other and they just like overpower everything.
Yeah, it's like clashing.
Ew.
Let's see if there are any cool. Ooh, that might be cool. Okay, so a filter is if you take an EQ and you just basically turn down either the highs or the lows, usually. The highs, if I cut out the highs, it's called a high cut. If I cut out the lows, it's called a low cut. So it's either a low cut or a high cut filter. You can also have a bell or a peaking filter. It looks like this. You can also do, there's a couple other versions of filters, or actually literally infinite versions of filters. You can also make them like custom, like this is technically a filter. Like this is a filter in itself. Like you can, there's endless filters. The cool thing about filters though, that are like meant to be filters, you can control what's called the resonance, meaning like the peak value. If I just want this low cut, but I want it to have a little bit of oomph right here. Like I want it to be very obvious that I'm low cutting. That's called resonance, and it's a lot easier to hear than it is to explain. So this is the resonance here. So I can make this like a very subtle cutoff. Or I can make it very drastic, where it's like. So you can hear that it's like sounding like a riser that just kind of goes up in pitch almost. Resonance on saves you a lot of time, so you don't have to like draw in everything from an EQ because that shit would take so long anyway. And this kind of sounds better than you could probably make it happen on an EQ. But technically, an EQ is in its own right a filter. A filter is just a simplified EQ. They're the same thing.
Right.
Crossfading is where you lead into another sound or another clip. In Studio One, all you need to do to crossfade is highlight two audio samples, tracks, clips, whatever. Press the X key on your keyboard, and it automatically crossfades it for you. It is something I use without thinking about it, so I wanted to stop and explain that. And try it yourself. It'll definitely save you some time. I'll show you a little way that it works. It'll sound very, very obvious if I stretch it out. So let's do that. See how it just like basically slams into the next clip?
Right. You need to blend it together.
Yeah, that. It's pretty abrasive. So now I can X, and it's going to be a little better at first. Like that's slightly better. I can also stretch one of these out. And now the crossfade is huge, so it's going to be it's going to lead into it very easily.
Well, it's like fading into it. It's like a blending, like fading blend, right?
Exactly.
Like making it come in almost seamlessly, like while it's crossing over, you're fading into it. Basically, the name itself is explanatory to me.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty See, that's like seamless. Otherwise, there could be pops. It could cause issues just in general. You don't always want a crossfade because sometimes you want those pops. Like sometimes you want it to sound like that because you want to keep it sounding like it's not done professionally. You want it to sound like, you know, you made this song in your garage. So especially with lo-fi music, of any sort, not just like the actual genre of lo-fi, but like music that is lo-fi. People like to like not crossfade and whatnot. I just am in the habit of making things cleaner sounding as much as I can. I want to humanize the track, make it sound like a real person's playing these instruments. So I'm going to humanize it just by lowering the velocity on some of these instruments because I already set the maximum level. I set the levels here, and I definitely don't want them to be louder. I want them to be quieter because if they go any louder, then it'll potentially mess up my mix. So I just want to go to humanize, turn the velocity down like a pretty good amount. I usually do like start out with maybe like 16 and do it like twice. That way it randomizes it twice. And it may not be super, super obvious, but if I do it again and again, it's going to be very, very humanized. Like some notes are going to be way quieter than others.
It's basically just like when you're humanizing it, you're rendering it, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but yeah, so now it sounds more like a real person is actually playing these instruments. And then I can also
I played this.
Yeah, I played this with my bare hands just now.
Yeah,
You
I
missed it.
own these instruments. Where do you keep all this stuff in a studio apartment?
And then I like to add some swing because it sounds more like a human's playing this. Also, actually, you can also mess with the timing. And this is where it's like you can get very, very nitty-gritty and make it so the timing on the kick is sooner than the timing on, you know, the snare and stuff like that. So I can do by negative 0.00.00 or 03 start range where it's like barely noticeable, or I can go bam. Like this is going to be very obvious. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want it to be that drastic. So we'll do like 0.4. So the kick is just going to be a little bit sooner. This is technically called groove or humanization. It's the same thing. It's how one person plays that instrument. And then I can also do the same thing with these snares, but I could do it for less, where it's like barely gonna be a little bit early. Same thing with the other snare that I have, except I could do it a little bit late, where it's just like one, like super, super not noticeably late. Humanize the hats as well, where it could kind of be in the middle. Humanize the open hats, where it could be a little bit earlier. So now it's very humanized. I can also slightly quantize it to clean it up if it sounds too messy. But this is already really nice, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
And then I want to do the same thing on the cowbell and stuff. Oh yeah. I think call the stream there, man.
Oh yeah.
I
Thanks
dig
for
where
having me
that
on.
track went.
Loved it.
Appreciate you hopping on. Definitely going to have you back.
It was a lot of fun. All right, good night, viewers.
Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Bye.